Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Commentary's Magic Stream on today, Sunday, June 13th, 2021. I am, as always, Grandpaws.
Big cheese.
Who am I again? And?
You're Aracat, and I'm Ivory Starlight.
I'm gonna press X to doubt on that one.
What, you're not Aracat anymore? Alright, then, Cheese, you be Aracat now.
Alright, I'm Big Cheese.
I'm Ivory Starlight.
Hiss.
This is a surprisingly accurate impression.
Indistinguishable. How can I
Flawless.
possibly tell these apart? He's clearly a changeling.
Perfect 5 of 7. Highly sus.
So about them cons.
Cons?
Cons don't exist.
Hold on. Con! Okay.
They are no longer consoled.
Yes, they are no longer consoled. So, as Everfree and we recently announced, that's happening. And
It is happening.
not only is that happening, we're running Continentals.
Get hype? I haven't been able to say that for like a year and a half.
No,
There's been nothing to get hype about.
like you say that and all, like, screw that, I want to go to the vendor hall again.
I want to go to the charity auction again.
That was also fun. Anyway, so yeah, we're doing the North American Continental Championships for what year is it again? It's
2021.
no, I think it's actually about the 500th day of March 2020. But the signs they're showing something different. It might actually be 2021. Weird. So some of you may still have the vouchers that were handed out from past events. Those will be honored. And I know some people are already probably going to not make Everfree, just, maybe it's a little bit soon or international travel's difficult, whatever. Those are all valid reasons. And I don't know, I think we could probably look at making those things carry forward. What you think?
I see no reason why they couldn't.
Yeah.
Everyone but Hithrox can carry over.
Yeah, that sounds good. Except the problem here is we don't actually know which one Hithrock is, or do we?
Yes, you do. We've established this.
Honestly, I may have just been fronting for Hithrock there. I don't actually know which one he's got.
I'm sure we can figure it out.
Unlike...
Everyone but Hithrock, yours can carry over.
Yeah, correct. Okay. So, the Continental Championships is going to be core format. This is probably unsurprising. I think the major thing to announce here is we don't currently intend on making a change to the core format between now and Continental. So the current meta is almost certainly going to be what you're dealing with at Continentals. So Coco 31 is going to start in about a week if you want to get some practice in. Just saying. Would you like a sign-up link for this? Of course you would. Here you go.
There you go. Look, it's like you had it prepared or something.
You get a link. Everyone
gets a link? Okay, Oprah. As this is a Tier 3 event, we will be doing elimination rounds. If we get more than 24 players, we will do top 16. I think this is equal to what we did for 2019.
Mm-hmm. And if we get less than 24, we'll do a cut to top 8.
We'll do a cut to top 8 instead. So,
we should just do a top 32.
That seems bad. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to 2-hour-long matches as we go control and control grind fests.
You're anticipating there are going to be 2 control players that are going to show up to Continentals?
Is Cheese playing?
Yeah.
There will be 3 control players, one of which probably won't play control.
Ouch.
Calm Soul says aggro and mid-range everywhere. Well, we're going to get to that in a minute.
We have some thoughts about the meta. And after that, I don't know, there's some spoilers or something. They come from the back of the truck. One of them might have fallen off. We'll see about that.
Eagle says farm all the
No.
way down. Yeah, we'll see about that.
Squawk.
Squawk. Can't squawk yet. Squawk isn't legal yet.
Squawk is in fact not legal yet. Let's see, but it's not the only thing we're doing at Everfree. There's also a Harmony tournament. We're planning on Team Sealed. We're also planning on regular Sealed. Normally I do a draft, but there's this little thing that's been a problem for the past 18 months. And vaccines or not, that's honestly still something that I don't think a lot of people are going to be comfortable doing. Sitting in a circle and, touching these cards as they go around. Little sus.
We'll just pre-sleeve all the packs and all the cards in brass.
No. We put, how many times do the cards go around? It's like 12 times, right?
You have to, remove
So you put-
them from a sleeve
yeah.
every time? Ew.
Yeah, you put 12 sleeves or 13 sleeves on. And then before you pass it, you take off the sleeve.
We're not going to be
Yeah, that's
We're not going to be checking vaccination within the CCG room itself. That's going to be up for the con, who's going to be doing that at registration. And so we're just erring on the side of caution because we'd like the CCG community to not suddenly develop a case of the 2020s again.
Yeah. The convention will have some policies in place on this. If you're curious about that, I would suggest checking out the convention website rather than relying on whatever us minions over here who just show up to play pony cards do.
Pretty much.
So check out the con website for that. And then the last thing, there's going to be a small core pauper tournament on Sunday. And if we get 24 players and if all the matches go long, then that might overlap with top 2, but if all the matches go fast, then oh well.
Yeah, if it's just aggro and mid-range and farm all the way down. So, Cheese, don't be that guy.
I think you just gave Cheese all the incentive he needs to be that guy.
He's going to be that guy regardless of what I do.
Correct.
I'm gonna play the best deck.
Isn't that what we all do? What we think is the best deck, or the deck we think will do the best?
I just need to talk Cheese into playing mono orange control again and have him hate life like he did at Gen Con that one year.
He just
That was
didn't have
annoying.
he just didn't have enough practice with it, I think is what he said was the issue.
Well, he also got the
meta.
Hot Wings matchup was not great.
And the meta just wasn't great for the deck.
No, I play whatever has the most hard removal.
Remember, that wasn't the meta call, that was the anti-bugle call.
Evan never played against Bugle.
I mean, whatever.
Neither of you played against him.
We played an exhibition match after the fact. It did what it was supposed to do. I stand by my creation. It beat VBot. This is actually the secret. You should deck against Bugle every single Continentals and then never actually play him and then not make the top cut.
Alright, everybody run Combo Assassin. It'll be fine.
Oops.
All right. So, before we get into the actual discussion on the Continentals meta, I do want to echo something that Ara said earlier, which is we are currently planning on not making any changes to the core meta in advance of Everfree. That is a big statement that any player who is looking to compete in this event should keep in mind. That does not mean that an emergency change could not take place, but we would need to give advance notice for it, and we're really running out of time to do something like that. So, with that in mind, do your own research. Take a look at the advice that we've got coming up here later in this stream, and take these next 2 months and really brew and see what you got. Okay. I've said my piece.
I think you have another piece to say, though. So let's talk about the meta. Now, following the meta makeover, it seems to be a positive change. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, overall, deck diversity seems to be in a pretty decent spot, hard control notwithstanding. I mean, there's multiple decks that are playable and are at least tier 2, if not tier 1.5 competitive within each archetype. And there's a fairly decent or consistent set of checks and balances between the top lists based on our data. We also saw at the most recent online con brand new lists that came out of nowhere. And those, coupled with the changes that we've seen on some of the top performers right now, well, let's just kind of break it down.
All right. Where are we going to start? Let's start with aggro. Aggro goes fast, so it's obviously first, right? Right.
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. I'm just going to transition into this. Look at this deck. Look at all these fast, like, just zipping all over the place.
Rolling around at the speed of sound. Something.
What is this? Multi-wing flight? Something like that. Okay, so I don't think this deck needs a lot of introduction. This is Stunning Wonder Pegasi. This is the fastest aggro list that we've seen so far. And even after the meta makeover, it still holds a pretty top position, despite losing both Chillax and Meadowbrook, who, if anyone asks, is an honorary Pegasus. Shut up.
She's an honorary every tribe. Let's be real.
Right. Also an honorary changeling. So, this deck just has a ton of ways to punch through Troublemakers, 8 Dilemmas, and some Fluttershy Pony Pirates. And once this gets some of its pieces out, it just goes fast. The main thing holding this deck back is that it does have some consistency issues. There are a pretty significant number of 2s in here, which do kind of mess with your ability to get the things that you need if you need one of those, like right now.
But I want it now.
And as with a lot of things, if you don't get the consistency, or if you flip a little bit slow, or you get the wrong cards delivered to you, especially with the ratio of dilemmas to friends here, you can occasionally end up with a hand that's just like, oof.
Yeah. Stunning Wonder's flip condition, while pretty effective in a more aggressive meta, can still hit roadblocks. Especially if you are playing against a deck that is running Tempest as a main and can drop a Troublemaker early, because against Tempest, the deck is probably going to want to start with Lacking Lesson Plans, and that restricts its access to being able to play cards like Angel or Sanctuary Construction, since your main will now be 1 power instead of 2. So a slow flip or a hand clogged down with dilemmas without a lot of the bodies that you need or the power boosting effects to, hit those higher requirements can be rough. But once you get going, it takes basically a full board reset to stop it. Well, that or
Most
something else we'll talk about here in a second.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got here? I think this isn't the only thing in the aggro list.
It is not. Just behind Pegasi in terms of speed, we've got Thorax Orange. In the absence of Day Shift, AJ and Fluttershy Treading Water is by far the strongest card in this list. It helps literally all of your friends be as sticky as possible. They're there at problems, meaning the only thing that you have to worry about moving is your main, and you've got Pirate Ship for that anyway. The secondary orange color provides some additional disruption through Heat Wave, which is one of the best non-hard removal disruption events in core at the moment, and through Apple Bloom, who can shut off the abilities of really problematic friends for a key turn. And orange also helps you get value not only through treading water, but through Rawkoof, who is immune to being frightened and gets Hugh. And Great Seedling, who just sits there and looks at these 1AT events in your hand and is like, oh ho ho, we gonna get big.
The main problem I have with Great Seedling is that he looks like Neon Bambi, but isn't Neon Bambi.
So do you dislike him?
Yes, because he looks like Neon Bambi, so he still gets hissed at.
He looks more like Bambi than Thorax does. Yeah. Two other big advantages that this deck has in the meta right now. Number one, it is running 2 copies of Yona in almost every matchup, and that is really good because I don't know if you've seen, but Yona's kind of irritating to deal with.
Yona's great.
I feel like you have like a bit of a personal issue with Yona.
No,
I don't like Yona.
no, it's fine. Yona's fine. No problems.
I don't believe you.
You guys are just mad that you have to figure out a way to get your expensive stuff to stay on the field than just, not doing anything.
The answer is Golden Parachute.
That is the most feels bad way of using Golden Parachute.
I mean, whatever. The other advantage the deck has is it has a source of built-in point acceleration through Trihorn Bunya. Pegasi mostly just relies on being able to go faster, but all of its point gain is basically wrapped up in its problems or ability to double or triple confront. This deck can sit there at one problem, well, yes, and final question as well, but again, wrapped up in its problem. This deck can sit there and just confront for 2 or 3 points across multiple turns if you really don't want to have to fight with an opponent over their problem. Okay.
There's one other thing that I'm going to claim counts as aggro. I think you'll probably disagree.
I would agree.
With me.
No, I would say it's aggro.
I have to agree with you now. I wouldn't have 2 weeks ago, but I am an idiot and don't know how to play this deck.
Yeah. So this we've seen before. This is Mosh Pit Unchained, and it continues to change and just be, well, pink.
The Rush makeovers in here are so cheeky.
The Rush makeovers in here are extremely cheeky. You know what else is cheeky? Somnambula's Blindfold.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna side those out a lot of the time, but man, those will mess things up. You know what else this messes up? Hey, I see you've got a bunch of high-value friends. It'd be an awful shame if Pinky's Party Cannon were to, accidentally knock those Pegasi out of the sky.
That's what she does, by the way.
Knocks Pegasi out of the sky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's part of the threat of a deck like this is when the power of an opposing list is concentrated into a small handful of very cheap friends, and you can hit one of those friends every turn cycle for minimal card discarding.
It puts a bit of a chain on the opposing aggro deck's burst potential. And Pinky's got this spare chain that she found somewhere.
In case of chain emergency.
No, more like, somebody tried to put this on me. It didn't work very well, but now I've got it.
Seems about right.
Also, you have the best 3 cards to include in a deck: Flurry Heart, Party Mare, and Sea Poppy. They must all 3 must be included together, no exceptions.
The Harbingers of the Rand Apocalypse.
Yep.
Let's see.
Don't be discounting Sea Poppy. Sea Poppy's a serious threat. Pages showed us that years ago, and Aura has embraced the belief since then.
And look at that deck. It runs Flurry Heart and Party Mare. They must go together.
Yep.
Correct. Let's see. So we're going to take a bit of a detour at this point over to Control Land.
Yeah.
The Land of the Demons.
Well, this one's a little bit different, because the usual pink-purple suspects that we've been cowering in fear of for the past, 2 years
Don't do anything anymore.
have been noticeably absent from the meta, which begs a question. Is Control really not going to show in this meta, or is it quiet? Too quiet.
I have a feeling that we all know that the dirty Control players are hiding their lists somewhere, and they'll just dust them off just in time for the main event.
Alright, so we've got to vote for it's quiet, too quiet.
I think Control doesn't have the tools.
Why do you say that? What tools in particular?
It doesn't have enough ways to say no repeatedly.
He wants his Selena Blues back.
Selena Blue didn't even let you say no repeatedly, though. All it did was provide a source of resource generation.
Yeah, that was what Selena Blue did.
He wants f-stop back.
I mean,
I want f-stop back.
No one wants f-stop back. Nobody likes Millhouse.
It was great. I could just find the one event I needed, and then suddenly I got it over and over again. It was totally fine.
Right, absolutely fine, fair, and balanced. And there's definitely no way we'd ever bother printing a card that could do something like that again. Hint.
That seems like a weird spoiler.
I mean, whatever.
Let's see, so we have seen a little bit of noise coming from our Queen and Capper. So white's been rearing its ugly head as the primary color in some control lists, but we haven't seen those since the early meta. And
yeah, white is very good at saying no. Wink is wink.
Yeah, that's an accurate statement.
Run it with some pink, play your bodyguards.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's a pseudo mill strategy that's going on with Sweetie Belle and Spike, and then using some of the orange disruptive events. There's stuff you can do. It is interesting to see white as one of its primary, one of the primary control colors right now. Geez, you have played purple, pink, white for the last 3 to 4 years in some way, shape, or form. And you mentioned that something that you just don't think it has access to now is the ability to continue to play disruptive events. What was it that you think really ended up setting that back right now, that particular list?
I think it's a combination of it needs to play more of them now because it can't rely on mimics. And it has fewer resources, both due to rotation that happened a bit ago and losing Selena.
Mm.
And some of it's more efficient ways of actually dealing with things like what was that called? Old Money. That was a while ago. They got banned now, but just the efficiency has been whittled down. It's just I just don't think it has enough going for it. It could still be pretty mean, but it's just a lot easier to deal with now.
Yeah, I think the big issue you end up running into is time as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
In top cuts, I think control decks have shown a historical tendency to perform better than they do in Swiss rounds.
Yeah.
Just gotta beat those timers.
The clock is the real enemy.
So what we need is hard removal and point gain in a single card.
No.
That sounds horrifying.
So while you do that, we'll go and not do dumb things. Or not do dumb-ish things.
was going to say, really? That's the segue you're using for the next deck we're discussing here?
It's
Yeah,
fine, don't
totally.
worry about it.
There's nothing wrong with this deck whatsoever.
Uh-huh.
So, who wants to talk about combo?
I think you want to talk about combo.
Do I? I don't know. Well, the most obvious combo choice that you're going to see these days is a nice little card called Pinkie Pie Living to Laugh. We did have a card as part of the diversity changes. Featherbangs was taken out due to the fact that he just generated so much card draw and unity, which together just makes Living to Laugh way too good. That being said, we have a new version to show you. Now, we've talked about this before, and we've also used it in some of our live gameplay videos on our YouTube channel. But the general gist of what you're seeing here is every way to draw your deck as fast as possible is here, primarily through Gabby, New Look on Life. Getting 2 of those at one problem and confronting can very easily draw you 16 cards.
Mm-hmm.
At least.
And I think GP found that his favorite opening with this deck was flip Skystar and play a Living to Laugh at home.
On turn 2, whatever, you're starting with Party Science, you can do it.
You can, in fact. Now, the scary thing about this deck is just how quickly it goes from 0 to 15, and by 15, I mean win. You sit there at 0 points, your opponent is running Pegasi, it's like, oh look, I'm 1 turn away from winning, and then you just drop 3 Gabbies suddenly, and there you go. The trick is actually getting to the Unity 15 and also protecting the Living to Laugh as well as the Gabbies, which is what EEA Council is going to do for you.
That's probably the single scariest card in this updated list now. Golden Parachute had been run in the previous Living to Laugh list for obvious reasons. If you're drawing and discarding your hand, then yeah, put that in your discard pile, have some free protection. It's hard to deal with. EEA Council, though, means that unless your opponent has an active Desert Road or other triggers that would somehow disrupt your friends, if you've got the combo in hand, that's it. Game over. What you'll usually see with this deck is holding on to some of the Angel Wings as long as you can and trying to rely on sources of card draw or discounts like Gilda or DJ Pony Feel the Beat earlier. Then having a burst turn where you feel like you have enough protection or your opponent's defenses are down, dropping multiple Angel Wings and Gallus, which is a cheap way of not only getting your unity, but also hitting Stop Fighting in your discard pile for free to frighten opposing, frustrating friends. And going off from there. The fact that Skystar gives you 7 unity by flipping, assuming you don't use the tokens, is pretty good.
Just a little bit.
Make no mistake, this deck is more fragile and less disruptive than what the previous Living to Laugh list was with Featherbangs and Party Cannoneer. It has a significantly faster potential.
So if you're worried about combo, this is
your target.
This or a deck like this is what you need to be thinking about.
Yeah.
Because this will go off way faster than it maybe should be, but...
I mean, we have a recorded gameplay video up on our channel right now where this goes off on turn 6.
That was such a dumb game.
That was a very dumb game.
So, pack your tools.
Yeah. Now, what else do we have for combo?
I don't know. That's the big hitter right now. I'm sure there are some rogue decks out there. Like I'm confident there's something hilarious that you can do with Starlight Glimmer Headmare and Sunburst Vice Head Stallion to generate just an absolute boatload of tokens, and who knows where you go with that.
I mean, Daybreaker and Granny Smith seems about right.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. I mean, he could also just mismain for the win. That's always popular, right?
Sure. You can get enough tokens going.
So, I don't know. Might be a rogue deck out there for combo. But that's the best part about combo, is that they always show up at the 11th hour and are just like, hi, now you have to deal with this one.
Yeah. All right, moving away from the combo archetype.
Oh, so we're going to do like the polar opposite here.
Farm.
Buy some apples, y'all.
Except for it's no longer Applejack.
I mean, AJ
It
was
could
too
be
good.
Applejack.
You could play Applejack, work hard, play hard, farm.
It's not as good, but it is still possible.
It's probably not fair to call farm the dark horse of the meta, given that the power level of Solano farm has been proven, time and time again over multiple online tournaments throughout the pandemic. We've seen what farm can do. But do beware of discounting the archetype, though. Between Solano herself, Daybreaker, high point value troublemakers, and the absolute dream of a problem that is Final Question, Mono Blue Farm is 100% capable of even higher burst turns than Pegasi.
Like, it might take a little bit to set up, and it's probably not going to be as common, but when this thing decides to open the throttles, it goes fast. Turns out that tractor is rated for a little bit more than 15 miles an hour.
Yeah. I think several of us have seen 9-point turns more than once out of this list. That's 60% of your points for the entire game.
What did we see last time? 9 points? Was it 9 points in one turn?
It was 9 points in one turn.
Yeah, that was insane.
It was really dumb. Now, like most other farm decks, Solano is still going to be very reliant on her resources like Staff or Flash Magnus Shield, Pirate Ship, and to a lesser extent, disruptive stuff like Grogar's Lair. So, if you can take out those supporting cards, that's probably the best counter strategy for most decks, since most decks will also run resource removal. Interacting with mains is harder, but Heatwave is still going to be one of your friends.
No, it's not. It's one of my events.
Die.
No.
Yeah, it's a key difference that you see here compared to some of the orange farm lists of the past is, like I said, a lot of the power is built into the resources. There's actually relatively few immediate speed tricks that are going to help you win a face-off. You have Dramatic Entrance, a playset of those, and one copy of Join the Herd, plus your Swinging Wonders. And that's it, as far as things that will grant you additional power within a face-off that you can play at immediate speed. This is very much a set it and not forget it, but use it style of farm.
You got to do your planning a little bit in advance here.
Agromath in my farm deck?
Nah.
It's more likely than you think.
Yeah, the single copy of Taken on Trust is a niche tool, but again, Taken on Trust by itself won't actually grant you any additional power. You'd have to use one of those other cards. Right. And of course, the thing that is incredibly important here is Solano plus Stick is capable of single confronting any problem in its problem deck.
With Staff.
With Staff. I said with Stick.
I mean, have you seen the poor girl? She's got a peg leg.
Yeah. Plus, you've got 3 Tempest Shadows here as well. So even if your opponent is playing shenanigans to stop you from beating up your troublemakers, I mean, you've got another path to victory. There's a good amount of disruption that's here. 3 Sophocles, 3 Stop Fightings, 3 Grogar's Lair, 3 Staff, 3 Legion of Doom, 3 Grogar.
I'm going to count Daybreaker as a piece of disruption here, because you really don't want to hit her with a stick.
That's fair. Okay, so we've covered aggro, we've covered control, we've covered combo, and we've covered farm.
You're going to tell me that there's a fifth archetype?
I mean, we've got kind of a grab bag with mid-range and other related decks that don't really neatly fit into any of the other archetypes. And who wants to take a guess at what color is best at mid-range?
Smiles!
Green.
Yay. Okay. Green is
Green.
Not
No.
a creative color.
green is not the color that is best at mid-range. Orange. Orange is the color that's best at mid-range.
I keep
Boring,
forgetting
no.
orange is the color.
Yeah, because you refuse to play it.
He got
I
burned.
played it once.
He got
back
burned
in
once.
CG. Oh, I guess I did play it more recently, but I played it back in CG, and I've been good since then.
I mean, you also played it with whatever that Luna main was, and it was called, like, seemed to have misunderstood our intention.
We very
Or, I don't know.
So
Yes.
now go moon 1,000 years, bye-bye banish time.
yes.
Mandatory subtitles.
Orange retains its title as king of the mid-range right now, especially with Growcord as a desirable main option. I mean, there's really not a whole lot that main can't do, at least somewhat effectively. You got mono Growcord that can split its attention between farming and playing like exhaust-based control. You can splash into blue, and you've got a decently fast aggressive list that uses a lot of the exhaust synergies. Or you can do what Bugle does, and throw pink in for some necessary hard removal and anti-combo tech with cards like Somnambulous Blindfold. And hey, while you're throwing pink in, let's throw in the natural inclusion of AJ and Fluttershy Treading Water. Remember when we talked about this stupid card?
I don't think that's enough color.
That's yellow.
I'm gonna go ahead and add a rack of Luster Dawns. Yeah.
Treading water is kind of annoying.
Let's go ahead and point this out. Big Mac gets counters. Rockhoof gets counters. Party Mare gets counters. Haven Bay gets counters. Berry Punch is Hugh. AJ and Fluttershy hits every friend.
Oh, do they only care about printed power?
Yep.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is printed power.
Fortunately or unfortunately?
That's a
Depends
matter-
on your point of view.
Yeah.
Depends on what side of the table.
That is, in fact, a matter of perspective. My perspective is ponies are cute.
Get some Rockhoof shovels in here to grow Haven Bay and generate card advantage and just yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bleh.
Ugh, blah, blah.
Ich voila, yes. This deck draws a lot of cards. I know it's primarily orange. It draws a lot of cards.
Hey, I've got an idea. Let's jam a Living to Laugh in here. I'm sure that'll work fine.
I mean, there used to be. It used to be here.
Uh-oh.
So you say that somewhat sarcastically, but the deck creator would probably attest that, yeah, it was a thing that worked at one point. All right, so a mid-range list, plenty of possibilities. Growcord main, one of the better options for it. What else do we have for mid-range? Ivory, Cheese, Yara, whoever.
I don't know if it's mid-range, but I know we got Reanimator out there.
I think that counts as mid-range. It's either mid-range or tempo, but
I just call it Reanimator because you say that and people know what it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair, I guess. All right, let's take a look at this thing. What is this? I already don't like this. You know why I don't like this? Because there's 5 in the corner in where that little cost box. That means I have to discard a lot of cards with Living to Laugh to hit these things.
You have infinite cards, it's fine.
And they do not have infinite cards. This also has golden parachutes.
You don't want them you don't want the things in their discard pile though. You want them in their hand because if they're in their hand, they can't reanimate them.
Right. So just play yellow.
Right, that's the problem here.
What, that you only play pink?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a personal problem. You should splash blue for Wrath of Gilda.
Bugle says Yona says hi. Yes, Yona looks at this deck and was like, that's a lot of stuff. Let's bounce all of it.
It's time for Kool-Aid Yak. Kool-Aid Yak says, oh yeah.
Yes, Sudden Closure is also very good against this deck. Beware, though, this deck does actually play Golden Parachute. Not just run Golden Parachute, but actually play it.
Disgusting.
That's weird.
I have to burn through
It's-
6 pieces of protection before I can start removing your things.
It's sometimes correct. Not always, but sometimes.
Plus,
I mean,
you
if you're
got
in the
this one.
colors.
The deck really has not changed that much since the previous set. The biggest additions are the Pinkie Pie wannabe Tricorn, who is not as good as Meadowbrook for getting through troublemakers or resources, but is repeatable, and also has the nice advantage of if you discard her to Kluge Town and your main is white, you hit every color you need for In My Head Like a Catchy Song,
To immediately bring her back. That's disgusting.
which is pretty nice. Rush Makeover helps your color entry be a lot more efficient than it was in the past. Postal Mare is great against decks like Thorax. And Friendship Summons can grab Catajack, can grab Twilight, and can grab Pinkie Pie, all of which are nice choices.
It's all about that Twilight, though.
I do think this is an older list, though. I think the one change that was made was to drop a third High Alert for add a third Heat Wave.
Heat Wave is kind of a good card.
Yeah.
Heatwave gives this deck interaction that it did not have before, and it's a lot stronger because of it.
Yep.
It's almost like Heatwave is a good card.
Almost.
Shocked and appalled that you'd say that.
Yeah. So that's about where the known meta is at right now. That does not mean that there are not local decks that are capable of performing alongside or even above some of the stuff we featured here. But from our own internal testing, from what we've seen in Cocos and online cons and other games with competitive players, those are all some decent choices and things that should be considered when building your list for Continentals this year.
I'd actually be a little bit surprised if most of those don't show up in some way, shape, or form.
It's fair. Go to Continental with Puckwudgie deck. I like this idea.
Yeah. I'm down with it.
This seems bad.
Hey, if you want to run a Puckwudgie deck in Tier 3, you go for it, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you otherwise.
No, you won't.
Cheese will be like, no, totally, and please be my opponent.
That's
What would
somewhat
we all-
mean.
What would we all do if it won? Be very impressed.
I mean, yeah.
That would actually be, legitimately impressive.
I would be like, okay, what were the rest of you running?
I would have questions.
I would also have questions, and I do want to know what the answer to those questions are. Would be great.
Well,
Very interesting shakeup.
while we're talking about not altering the meta in advance of Continentals, it's safe to say with an entire set looming on the horizon for open beta here soon that the meta after Continentals stands a chance of being changed a little bit. And we may have seen a few glimpses at what's around the corner. It's angry squawking.
Squack.
All right, Bugle, here you go. Now it's your time to shine.
Now you can squawk. There we go.
So those of you paying attention to the Reddit and the Discord probably saw Bugle's article about how friends are terrible.
All friends face the wrath of Gilda.
Pretty
That's
much.
about right. Man, we haven't seen a full board wipe event since Friends Forever.
This isn't really a full board wipe, though. All the troublemakers and the resources do stick around.
All right, a full friend board wipe then.
Yeah, so this is something, and it's important that the frighten all friends then dismiss all friends happens in that order because hi, Yona, Cinders, get out.
No persistent for you.
Bodyguard? Now, that's actually more a downside for the person running this because they can't run white and make like 15 unicorn tokens. But let's be fair, no one really enjoyed doing that when Party of One was in the meta.
No, not at all.
I think that's a feature, not a bug. It seriously is a feature, not a bug.
So if you really want to splash 2 additional colors to run white and then run apple delivery so your bodyguard isn't frightened, I mean, you can do it. Wouldn't recommend, but you can do it.
I mean,
I'm just going to play this with Sonic Rainboom at instant speed. Or at immediate speed. That's going to be dumb.
Yeah, it's going to cost you a lot, though.
It's really not. It's going to cost me 4 AT.
And 2 cards.
Whatever.
And lots of opportunity costs. So
my opponent's going to go to score phase. I'm going to be like, oh, that's cool. No.
Maybe. All right, now. Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see what this does.
I mean, I'll tell you what it's going to do.
Dismiss all your things.
Yeah.
No, it's going to frighten all the things and then dismiss all the things. That's what the card says.
I'm not going to do
Something, something, Jar Judger.
I think it should frighten and dismiss all the things.
I think that's too broken and results in NPEs. Anyway, we're not going to finish that one, I don't think. But I don't think that's the only spoiler we got.
Oh?
Someone already did Nani in chat, so you can't even do that anymore. But you know what? I've got a present.
I was holding it. I was holding it back.
I appreciate that. Now I've got a present for you in appreciation for holding it back.
You got a present for me?
I do have a present for you.
Ooh, I want to see. I hate it. You knew exactly what you were doing.
You know, the problem with this card is it doesn't cost 1. They could be exactly the same card.
Lotus is white!
Lotus is not white! I mean, she can be.
If you need her to be.
Alright,
Let's just give somebody else color this time.
Yeah, so that's fine. So what we've got here is Aloe and Lotus together can be whatever color you want, and basically as much power as you need. You're welcome.
Well, that you have available, but yes.
Sure. Okay, so it's a 2-power body that grants temporary color on any character until the end of the turn, so that's better and worse than cards like Kevin. It does not retain that color through turns, but you can also hit something that's a higher power to hit higher rec. What is also kind of interesting is, unlike cards like Rushed Makeover or Motivational Speech, if you play Lotus and it would somehow trigger an interesting effect. Well, I think I'm getting ahead of myself there. I was going to say the monocolor starting problems have some cool interactions with this, where you can get the color for a turn, then lose it, and still have the power in play. And so that's, I mean, it's kind of neat.
Well, I think we've got a couple of other very interesting things where you could potentially, I don't know, abuse some of those color plus not color problems we were talking about.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. You definitely can do that. Bugle does point out that she is shut down by Desert Road, unlike most other entry friends, because in order for Lotus to be able to affect herself with her modifier, she needs to be in play, and so as this card enters play, would not end up working on her.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me ruffle around in this bag here. Oh, look, I've got something else.
2?
Yeah. I mean, we're at the spawn, right? And one of the things that you...
Spawn, what?
No, we're at the spa.
Oh, spa. Okay,
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Get your hair done. But this is a pony who doesn't need or want her hair done.
Oh, is this what I think it is? Oh my god, we finally did it.
There is some stuff to unpack here.
This looks a little bit like the character from Lazy Gnome.
Is this, Robbie Rotten?
Yeah.
Is this actually a image from the show?
Yeah. There was an entire episode.
I mean, I know there was an entire episode, but I just don't remember this image happening in a scene. But whatever, it's been a while since I've seen the episode.
It's a villain that does
Yeah.
villain things.
But you know what
And by
it's
that
not?
I mean he's act villain. Epic.
It doesn't have epic on it. So you're telling me that this is a villain that scares all the friends there, that doesn't subsequently block off the problem.
Yep.
I mean, you can put reminder text on rares anyway, and we'll probably add reminder text to villain for this to fill in the space.
Yes. Villain historically has not shown up on lower rarity stuff, so we will put reminder text on this. The art that we are showing here is still in development, so things can change, and the abilities on things can also change, so don't get too happy about all this stuff, but these ones probably won't change.
I'm just happy that we finally say we have a Maniac villain. It's been requested for a while now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And specifically, people kept requesting Maniac Villain, Maniac Villain, Maniac Villain, not Maniac Epic. So here you go. You got exactly what you wanted.
Well, no. You got exactly what you asked for. That's not necessarily the same thing as exactly what you wanted.
Well, fair.
So yeah, this'll be interesting to see how this gets used.
It is the first non-epic villain we've ever had.
I remember when we've had the first non-villain epic.
With the
That
Nightmare
was
Star.
Starlight, right? Oh no, it was Nightmare Star.
It was Nightmare Star.
That was good. It was a good card.
Of
This
course,
might also be a good card.
this will be
also
a very interesting card. Yes. What?
We're also not going to bring this down to uncommon because no villains in Pauper.
Why not?
You know why not?
Because no villains in Pauper.
It would be a bad idea.
Because then Cheese's Go Home deck is going to have even more firepower.
More go home.
It's like, oh no, yeah, you could totally stay there, get 1 point. Oh, it's all frightened. Now everything frightened, go home.
Rip.
Rip.
That's a meaty spoiler. That's pretty good. And that's probably a good note to wrap up the discussion on today's topic. We would like to give a big shout out to all our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for your regular support. If you aren't currently a patron and you enjoy what we do, please do consider donating. Doing so enables us to continue making content like this and lets you earn some great perks as a bonus. If you have comments or questions you'd like to send our way, feel free to reach out to us through Facebook, Twitter, or email. If you're a patron, you can also chat live with us on Slack any day, anytime. Finally, if you're looking to watch any of our previous videos, including tournament recordings, you can find them on our YouTube channel, linked just below the stream. With all that said, thank you to each and every one of our viewers, both here now and watching this recording later. We are, as always, Commentary is Magic. I am, as always, Grandpaws.
Big Cheese.
Cat and...
Hey, you know your name is now, and Ivory Starlight.
Oh, that's right. I'm Ivory Starlight.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't, like, keep going on the gimmick, so we had to, like, do it straight. Yeah, I'm going to claim you cured me of, like, temporary amnesia or something.
I'm Spartacus.
Yeah, I'm Spartacus.
I refuse to be a part of that.
I understood that reference. And we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Sign up for Coco.
Yep, do sign up for Coco. Last chance to practice.